Government corruption has never been more prevalent or caused more harm. It's why extremism is on the rise. It's why the financial gap between the haves and have-nots has never been wider. And it's why our planet is at risk of an extinction level tragedy. That's why I need your help to keep exposing the truth about the rot on both sides of the aisle. Become a supporter or a friend of the show today by clicking on the coffee link in the description box below. Friends of the show join me on a Zoom hangout once a month, and you guys can ask me any questions you want, and I can get to know you better. But the most important reason to help is to keep the show alive. Together, we can and will save our country and our planet. Thanks in advance and enjoy the show. Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. I have updates to share about some of Trump's Capitol insurrectionists whose plea deals have gone a little sideways. It's time for an episode of Where Are They Now?
Matthew Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
First up is Gina Bisignano. Bisignano, as you guys may recall, took a unique plea deal. She agreed to cooperate with prosecutors, and she was the first January 6th defendant to plead guilty to almost every single crime levied against her. That included the felony charge of obstructing an official proceeding. And that one charge provides a maximum penalty of up to 20 years in prison. The one and only crime that was dropped, in fact, was a property destruction charge. And at the time, when I heard what she accepted, I was like, what? Like, what? Who? What? Where? What just happened? No one agrees to a cooperation deal and accepts almost all of the charges. That's just unheard of. It's insane. Anyway, she's now trying to take back her guilty plea in regard to the obstruction charge. And here's why. So in a motion that she filed on May 20th, Bisignano argued that, number one, the Justice Department bullied her into pleading guilty to that crime and that she didn't fully understand the charge. And number two, U.S. District Judge Carl Nichols, who's presiding over her case, he's ruled in two other cases earlier this year that charge, the obstructing an official proceeding charge, is not applicable in those two other cases. So Bisignano's attorney claims that it no longer applies in her case. However, I've shared this with you guys previously. Nichols is the one and only January 6th judge who's made this asinine decision. And I mentioned recently, he's reconsidering that ruling. The DOJ reached out and said, here's why we think you made a mistake. Will you please reconsider? And he made it known publicly that, yes, he is actually thinking about it. So Nichols is going to have to make up his mind once and for all, and it's going to have to be soon because Bisignano is scheduled to be sentenced on July 12th. So we'll see what happens with that. I'll let you guys know. And I should note, according to legal experts, federal rules do allow for a defendant to withdraw their plea prior to sentencing if they can prove that there's a fair and just reason for doing so. Next up is Anthime Gionet. He is the far-right, white supremacist, white nationalist moron who's known online as Baked Alaska. Gionet had also agreed to a plea deal, and he recently went before the judge to formally accept that plea deal and plead guilty. He was pleading guilty to the parading charge, as so many of them have. Well, at the plea hearing, Gionet told the judge, quote, "I wanted to go to trial, but the prosecutor said if I went to trial, they would put a felony on me. So I think this is probably the better route. I believe I'm innocent." So that's when you hear like the car stop, like comes to a screeching halt, the record skips, right? U.S. District Judge Emmett Sullivan is presiding over Gionet's case. And so he had to put the brakes on the hearing. And he told Gionet, "I can't accept your guilty plea if you say you're innocent." And Sullivan told Gionet and his attorney, "Okay, let's do a trial then, choose a trial date." And then Sullivan also said, quote, "I'm never going to force anyone to plead guilty if they're not guilty." And he told Gionet, "If you want a trial, you'll get a fair trial." But then crybaby Gionet says, was it fair? Was it fair for the government to threaten me with felonies? So Judge Sullivan said, this is a matter for your attorneys to deal with. And the prosecutor jumped in then and said, we didn't threaten him. They clarified and said, we told him that we will continue to investigate if he doesn't take a plea, and we could end up filing a superseding indictment down the road. There could be more crimes that we come across. I would assume that's pretty normal. If they find additional evidence, you don't know what's going to happen. So bird in the hand, as they say. So a trial date has now been scheduled. You're not going to believe this. It's not until March of next year. That's how packed they are. And Gionet is out on bond. He remains free, which, give him more rope. It might not work out too well for him because remember, this is the guy who just can't keep himself out of trouble. He just keeps committing various crimes, and some of which he records himself and then he puts them on the internet. He went and destroyed a Hanukkah display at the Arizona State Capitol. He got in trouble for that. He also got in trouble, you guys may recall, I did a report on this. He assaulted a bouncer at a bar. He was convicted of that crime. He also got in trouble for violating the terms of his bond in this case, in the January 6th case, because he just picked up and moved from Arizona to Florida without notifying anyone. And the only reason that they found out about it was because he had another run-in with the local police in Florida. So just give him time. He'll be back behind bars. I have no doubt. It's just who he is, apparently. Anyway, I will let you guys know when I hear more. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Take care. I'll talk with you soon.